Listen up, get ready, I'm not gonna take no more. There's a revolution, a revelation going on in my soul. Buckle up, get ready, we're not gonna sit back.
Okay, all you citizens of the world, welcome back to Live from the Heartland for the week of October 31st. And it brings me a lot of pleasure to bring on our next guest, someone who used to play at the Heartland Cafe every now and then. I think he's been on the show in the past. The one and only Chicago guy, Nicholas Tremulis. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's good to be back with a lefty pinko like myself.
That's good. A couple of us. We got to stand up. We're under assault from you know who, and we're showing a lot of great resistance, which is good to hear. And I think I just heard a song of yours called something about the man.
Stick it to the man. Yeah.
Stick it to the man. I think our engineer Hal will probably use that as an intro or outro to this segment.
Right.
But Lynn Orman, our wonderful music producer, she got a hold of me and said that you were about to do a performance on 2 days with a group that has been raising, I think it's the Hua Mamona.
Yeah, it's called Hua Mamona Foundation. And what they've done is basically since the fires, have made 80,000 hot meals for people that were displaced by the fires in a part of town where 15th generation Hawaiians had lived. You know, these are family houses, much like the Ninth Ward was. But Maui's taken it, you know, as islands do, upon themselves to try to keep this situation very strong for those people. And we're trying to do that. We're starting a music program for kids out there with Naivi Teruya and the Jimi Hendrix of the ukulele. It's just amazing.
Nicholas, how did you
performing with us actually? So
how did you get involved with this organization?
You know, I got involved through the head of an organization called Collaboration, which is a theater company that does theater for social change and stuff like that. A guy I've known for years. We did To Kill a Mockingbird together with Tony Fitzpatrick and Wesley Kimler back in the day. We just remained friends ever since. They talked about putting a concert together in Maui, and they needed a music director, so I stepped in. That's basically what it was.
Well, you know, there's a guy out there named Michael Piranha, used to be the Piranha Brothers Band.
Sure.
And he'd be a great guy for you to get involved. He's been living there, playing there all week long at a million places.
Yeah.
And that was my first visit out there.
Where'd you go? Which island?
I just went to Honolulu, and then we did a big tour around the island in this car.
Yeah.
I tried to go swimming, but it was coral, and my feet were killing me.
Oh, man. Last time I went, I got tossed around so bad by a wave. I was just like, oh, great, you know.
Well, I hung out with the turtles.
By the Pacific, you know.
I hung out with the turtles a little bit. They were all going back in the water. Anyhow, this event that we're talking about here in Chicago is both on Thursday and Friday, November 6th and 7th. It's at the Copernicus Center, which I found out is at 5216 West Lawrence. And
it's right. It's right at Milwaukee Avenue in Lawrence, 100 feet from the Blue Line. It's the Copernicus Center. It's the sister of the Chicago Theater. Same guy designed it within the same decade. So it's very much like going to the Chicago Theater. Same sight lines are amazing and everything like that. The thing about this is a multi-artist bill with myself and the Prodigals, and then us backing Bernard Fowler for a set, and then Lisa Fisher with Grand Baton, which is a unbelievable. I would have to say she's like the Betty Carter of soul and rock music right now. And then Betty LaVette and John Cruz, who's an amazing artist from Hawaii, the Big Island, actually. But, you know, has the song Island Style, which is kind of their take me out to the ball game, best way to put it. And then you're going to be able to eat Hawaiian food. And we're just trying to bring the spirit of aloha here to Chicago, as our country has kind of lost that greeting feeling because of our president half-wit. So at any rate, we're trying to bring that back to Chicago and have a special event for that, for people to come, eat Hawaiian food, see spectacular music, and maybe the best soul bill in the past 2 decades, I think, you know.
Well, one of those days, and tell us the start time for both, but one of those days I think you're going to be in like an oral discussion.
Oh, yeah, that's with Billy Cox, who I've become great friends with. Brought him to Maui on a return to perform there since Rainbow Bridge, and brought a bunch of guitarists. That was the first show that we did there. And in starting this music side of things for young kids that were affected by the fire and stuff like that, we're putting a board together of a bunch of great musicians. Daryl Jones from the Rolling Stones, Bernard Fowler from the Rolling Stones, and Billy Cox. And I'm going to do a Q&A with Billy. And we're also going to meet some young musicians, have them play us our songs and talk to them about it and stuff, you know.
Nicholas, tell us a little bit about your connection to the Rolling Stones. Bernard Fowler is prominent in your friendships, and you have more about you and the Rolling Stones. Fill us in.
Well, also Lisa Fischer, but I met her when she was singing backup for Luther Vandross back in the 80s. But yeah, I've always had that. I played on a record with Keith at his house for 3 days. I was sober 1 month. It was my baptism in fire. And I figured if I could make it through that week, I could make it through anything. And I did, you know, but he's a very generous guy. And the Stones have always been very generous with me, all their players, and just, you know, knowing I'm here in Chicago and me knowing they're there, you know.
Well, talk about you in Chicago. Growing up in Chicago, you came out of Greektown, you moved to the suburbs. What was it like growing up? What was your first instrument? What got you into music?
Well, my old man was sort of a bebop piano player, unschooled, couldn't read music, but was into Bud Powell. So I heard that as a kid a lot, along with, of course, the Beatles, because I'm of that age where you get to watch the Ed Sullivan Show and it changes your life. But I liked the Beatles and Thelonious Monk as a kid, to give you an idea what my house was like. My parents were friends with Lenny Bruce. We had a signed copy of How to Talk Dirty and Influence People in the house. And I grew up with beatniks, basically. You know, and when they moved to the burbs, they were fishes out of water. So we're constant. My mom's idea of grocery shopping would be to get on the train, go into the city, take a bus to Treasure Island and buy food, and then come back home. You know, so I mean, they were real fish out of water when they were there. But music was a big deal in my house. You know,
I remember Treasure Island over there on Broadway. I think it was quite a place. It was early hip supermarket.
No, it was. Well, it was Greek-owned, and the mom made yaourti, the yogurt there, and it was the only place you could get Greek yogurt. So we would literally go for a 3-hour round trip to get Greek yogurt, you know.
Have you been to Greece?
What?
Have you been to Greece?
Yes, I took my parents to Greece as a payback for them spending a long time in the courts with me in my teen years. I got a lot of trouble. I said, one day I'll take you to Greece. So I took my parents to Greece in 93, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's quite a place. I was there with my son. I had a birthday party over there on Patmos, and it was quite a place. A lot of fish.
Yeah.
So, what was your first instrument? What are you doing? What do you got for instruments these days?
My first instrument was the piano, because I just understood it, having sat on my father's lap and watched him put my hands on his hands. It just made a lot of sense to that. We had a guitar in the house, but I'm left-handed, but I play right-handed. My dad is left-handed and played left-handed. So those and the bongos were the heavy first instruments. You know, I think every kid had a pair of bongos back in those days, but my uncle Ernie also had bongos, play along to records. They would always play with brushes on pots and stuff like that, you know. So percussion was a big deal.
Well, you have a long musical history. How many albums have you put out?
I think I'm at a dozen right now. And I've been, you know, a couple side projects with some of them, a member of Wilco and Bunny Carlos, called Candy Gold, and then the Fauntleroys with Alejandro Escovedo and Ivan Julian from Richard Hell and the Voidoids. And God, I played with a lot of people. That's the best way to put it.
What do you got in the works now?
I'm finishing a record called Love and Terror right now, which is It's taken a while because I write arrangements for 14 musicians. So I have to gear up the money and steal it from one side of my life and bring it back to the other. But I'm going to be finished with it really soon. In fact, I got Ivan Neville playing on it on Saturday morning. So it's going to be nice.
Who besides the Beatles and Thelonious Monk have been influential in your life, whether they're big names or local people?
Well, top drawer would be James Brown. That was a big deal on my house.
I just finished a biography on him. I learned a lot. He was something else.
Yeah, he was. And that was a big deal. Seeing the Staple Singers and watching Mavis explode when I was a kid, that was a big deal too. Otis Redding was a big deal. Joe Williams was a big deal. Cannonball Adderley was a big deal. Charlie Parker, of course, because that was my dad's Jesus, And
well, all of those are people I really like, and I've seen them all in my lifetime except Charlie Parker.
Yeah, my dad's the only one I know who saw him twice, But of course, Miles Davis, and I went to the Jazz Showcase for the first time, I think, when I was 8 years old. So I've always seen. They dragged me around, to meet Joe Siegel and go see Lee Konitz and Milt Jackson back in the day. So I've been steeped in music ever since I was a little kid,
I remember, I think I first ran into Joe Siegel at the Jazz Record Mart on Wabash.
Bob's place.
That's where I remember meeting Charlie Musselwhite and Mike Bloomfield.
That's a good pair.
Yeah, they were good. I think I was doing a paper on the socialization of the Negro jazz musician.
Uh-huh.
And I remember being at the Sutherland Lounge, and McKee Fitzhugh Disc Jockey Show Lounge. And I remember going up to Chico Hamilton and talking to him. He just kind of laughed and didn't pay any attention to me.
My first rehearsal for the band, Nicholas Tremulis, was in the basement of the Sutherland Lounge at the Gene Ammons Foundation. That's what it was called at the time. Yeah, so I know all your haunts, pal.
No, that's good. I got to start going out more in my old age and see some more music.
Well, let's get you to come to the show. Let's make you an honorary cat for the show.
I might try to come. You got anything coming up after that?
Mostly just finishing my record right now. I wanted to take the rest of the year to really nail it shut.
Do you have any words of inspiration for young musicians who are just getting into the business?
Every year, unlearn everything.
That's a good one.
Best way to put it, because every year it's going to change. I make avant-garde soul music, best way to put it. I don't make fusion, I make collision. And there's just not a place for that kind of collision that much in the sample-y world. So I put out vinyl to separate the men from the boys, so to speak, But, just find your audience and cultivate that. The still word of mouth is still the best thing in the world, I still get hip to stuff, I'm sure you do, from your son or from anybody else that'll say, man, have you heard this? And I'll hear it. And sometimes I'll go, yeah, I heard it the first time, But a lot of times I'll hear new things that'll just blow my mind. And, I've become big fans of artists through just word of mouth, through somebody telling me something. So get yourself a bunch of great friends, ones that are studying film, ones that are studying writing books, ones that are studying poetry, and ones that are studying music and composition, and just talk to them all the time and turn each other on constantly.
No, I like that.
Art is the best drug ever.
My son, Cadian, was in the band Twin Peaks.
Okay.
And it was really wonderful watching those guys, friends, come together, play their music, do their thing.
Yeah, well, art is being an artist is the only healthy form of narcissism. You need a bit of it to make it work, and it's healthy if you put it in art. It's the only time it works that way. So,
Nicholas Tremulis, do you have any secrets for staying in shape? Do you take care of yourself? Do you eat well? Do you work out?
I eat well. You just got to listen to yourself. I have no, I'm not that in shape. I'm basically a head with some fingers on it, you know.
Well, you're doing great.
Yeah, I'm doing what I can, you know. What do they say? Greek don't creak, you know.
That's good. Okay,
Yeah.
so everybody should pay attention November 6th and 7th at the Copernicus Lounge or Center.
Copernicus Lounge, yeah.
Copernicus. I got to learn how to pronounce it.
Yeah,
Copernicus.
Gateway Theater at Copernicus. Come one and all.
All right, brother, we'll see you. And thanks so much for coming on.
Good talking to you, Michael.
Everybody else.